The judge did not appreciate Fani Willis's in-church commentary. And you guys had both been saying that he wouldn't because, you know, you're former DAs and you know it's not appropriate for a district attorney to speak out in the way that she did at that church. And this judge absolutely agreed with you and didn't hold back on that. He didn't use it to disqualify her. But I did think it was interesting that piece of the motion, which hadn't gotten as much play, upset the judge. Here, as a reminder, is some of what Fani said in the church right after Ashley Merchant filed the motion to disqualify Fani. She went off. Take a listen.
Why does Commissioner Thorne and so many others question my decision in a special counsel? I appointed 3 special counsel, as is my right to do. Paid them all the same hourly rate. They only attacked one. First thing they say, oh, she gonna play the race card now. But no, God, isn't it them who's playing the race card when they only question one? Why are they so surprised that a diverse team that I assembled, your child, can accomplish extraordinary things? God, wasn't it them that attacked this lawyer of impeccable credentials? How come, God, the same black man I hired was acceptable when a Republican in another county hired him and paid him twice the rate? Oh, y'all ain't hear me. Why is the white male Republican's judgment good enough, but the black female Democrats not?
All right, so here's some of what the judge found there. First, he notes that forensic misconduct is potentially a grounds for disqualification, and comments out of court from a district attorney along these lines can potentially arise to, quote, forensic misconduct that would get you disqualified, though he noted there wasn't a lot of case law in Georgia on that front. He said, he mentioned her, quote, unorthodox decision to make on the record comments and authorize members of her staff to do so to authors intent on publishing a book about the special grand jury. Such decisions may have ancillary prejudicial effects yet to be realized. So again, more misconduct rise to the level of disqualification. The same cannot so easily be said of the district attorney's prepared speech delivered before the congregation of a local Atlanta church on January 14th, 2024, which we just played for you. He goes on to say, the state argues that speech was not aimed at any of the defendants in this case. Maybe so, but maybe not. Therein lies the danger of public comment by a prosecuting attorney. By including a reference to so many others on the heels of defendants' Roman's motion, which instigated the entire controversy, the DA left that question open for the public to consider. The court finds, after considering the statement as a whole, under all the circumstances surrounding its issuance, that the DA's speech did include defendant Roman and his counsel within its ambit, whether intentional or not. He goes on to say, more at issue, instead of attributing the criticism to a criminal accused general aversion to being convicted, the DA ascribed the effort as motivated by playing the race card. She went on to frequently refer to Nathan Wade as the black man, while her other unchallenged ADAs, or special prosecutors, were labeled one white woman and, quote, one white man. The effect of this speech was to cast racial aspersions on an indicted defendant's decision to file this pretrial motion. I mean, he's crushing her here. However, the speech did not specifically mention any defendant by name. It also did not address the merits of the indicted offenses, nor did it disclose sensitive or confidential evidence yet to be revealed. So this court cannot find the speech cross the line to the point where the defendants have been denied fundamentally the chance at a fair trial. Then he ends with this, but it was still legally improper. Providing this type of public comment creates dangerous waters for the district attorney to wade further into. The time may well have arrived for an order preventing the state from mentioning the case in any public forum to prevent prejudicial pretrial publicity. But that is not the motion presently before the court. And yet, Phil, it almost certainly will be within days to try to gag this district attorney from further endangering the defendant's right to a fair trial.
Well, how the hell does he think that toothpaste is going to get back in the tube if she's gone so far as to disparage Roman the way the judge has found that she did? a gag order on her moving forward somehow solves that. No, the remedy is disqualification. In other words, that's a scathing opinion. It really throws her out under the bus so badly that she ought to be ashamed and tuck her tail and just leave town. It's so bad. I'd be looking for a new job if a judge described my conduct that way. But no, he's going to say all these things and say, oh, but you know what? It's still not anything that I'm going to do anything about. I'm just going to issue a little warning, don't do that again. And let's all kind of move along. It's just ridiculous. It absolutely is ridiculous because that damage has already been done and no gag order by this judge can fix it. It's the damage and it's not just Roman, by the way, it's all of them. And if you think that she's not going to find a way to make additional public statements that disparage these defendants, then I got news for you, because she's going to find a way to do it.
Well, good evening and welcome back Inside the Law. I'm your host, Philip Holloway. Fani Willis has found a way to do it again. She's found a way to wade back into dangerous waters. See what I did there? So look, today we had a press conference. And by the way, welcome to everyone that's here. By the way, I see the chat has already been very active, and I see some folks have, we've got Senior Chief. Welcome back in, Senior Chief, and Megan are gifting memberships. Much, much appreciated. Thank you all very much for that. Today we had this press conference by Fulton FA Fani Willis, and she was back in her old stomping grounds, the Big Bethel AME Church. But this time she wasn't in the pulpit. She was outside on the steps. Now, this presser lasted around 30 minutes, and I'm not going to play all of it for you, but I am going to play some of it for you, and I'm going to fast forward through some of the things. And by the way, I apologize for not being able to edit this down to something more digestible. It's just, I haven't had a lot of time to get on this today, and I'm not the best with video editing. In fact, I'm trying to find somebody to help me with that right now. But until then, we'll make do with my limited tech skills. All right, so let's go ahead and see if we can get started with some of this press conference. You see, right at the very beginning, you see, instead of being in the pulpit, we're out on the steps, and I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, maybe 10 gentlemen there. I don't see. Someone in the chat had asked if there were any women present, and I think at another time Willis had said that she perhaps was the spokesman for all women or something like that, but nevertheless, I see none here. But these are, I guess, mostly members of the clergy. So let's just duck in and get started with some of this, and then we'll fast forward to what I think is some of the more relevant parts. And then at the end is when we hear from Madam District Attorney herself, Fani Willis. All right. All right. Are we saying that there's no sound on that? All right. Then I apologize. I have done something terribly wrong. Let me just see if I can get it fixed real quick. And I don't know why there would be no sound. If so, that's going to be very disappointing. Give me just a second here. All right. So we've got this. Edit the name. Yeah. Most unfortunate. What this is maybe we can do it another way. Let's see here. Well, I guess I've done something terribly wrong. The bottom line here, folks, I'll go ahead and stop this. What you had is, and I'll have to just post it another time. I don't know any way. I have no idea what I did wrong, but in any event, we had this presser here today, and at one point in the middle, and I'm actually going to try to see if I can't go ahead and get to that because I want to show you where it is. She says basically that these members of the clergy, and let me pull up something that I posted on Twitter because I can get right to it. And I'll see if I can play this part for you because the members of the clergy do her talking for her. They basically say that she is almost inspired by God and brought to them almost in a divine way. All right. Listen.
Right. Brother, I am so honored to stand here today and say that I stand with this incredible district attorney. I stand with my good friend, Dr. Tim and Bishop Jackson and Brian and all of those who are gathered and all of those who are scattered. Not present physically here today, but stand with this courageous woman. This woman who, like Queen Esther of old, has come into the kingdom for such a time as God has handpicked her for this moment. This is her moment.
God has handpicked her. So I'm gonna come back to that audio here again, folks. I apologize. I don't know why the sound is not playing through this platform, but in any event, and I will post this separately later, and you can find it. It's a 30-minute news conference, and at around the 19-minute mark, you get the discussions where she has been, I guess she's compared to Queen Esther. And she's basically brought there by divine providence. Let's listen in a little bit more.
Don't even have a keen prophetic eye. Can plainly see that God is in the midst of all that is taking place, because this woman, I stand with her and I stand with her and we stand with her. Because when I saw this fella come on the scene, this Florida fella, it occurred to me after watching him just for a short while, Bishop, that all of the, and this is what came to my mind, all of the resources of hell, all right, has been made available to this man. Somebody said on yesterday that I believe it was Reverend Al Sharpton or someone on his show that there's not a redeeming quality in the man.
All right.
Saturated with evil.
Soaked and saturated with evil. That was the essential sound I was trying to get for. And somebody had mentioned, make sure I share it within StreamYard. Well, it is shared within StreamYard. And I apologize for that. I'll go ahead and get out of this now. But in any event, this took place, and a few minutes later, Willis goes ahead and she makes prepared remarks. Okay. And this brings me to a point that we need to stop and think about, what is Georgia law here? Okay. Remember, this is part of what Judge McAfee said was wrongful from her, said it was improper. He said it was unethical. He said she's wading into dangerous waters. And as I predicted on Megyn Kelly's show in that clip from the very beginning, she cannot stop. She cannot hold herself back. She can't prevent herself. She just, I don't think, in my opinion, has it in her. I want to share with you what Georgia prosecutors' rules of ethics have to say about this. You see, it's special responsibilities of a prosecutor, and these are applicable only to prosecutors. In addition, from the obvious things, they should refrain from making a charge that they know is not supported by probable cause, intentionally making an effort to prevent the accused from an effort to obtain counsel, make timely disclosure to the defense of all evidence that they have, and evidence also that shows that the offense is mitigated or perhaps shows the person is innocent. These are the basic things, but they're in the part E and then G. E says the prosecutor shall exercise reasonable care to prevent persons who are under the direct supervision of the prosecutor from making an extrajudicial statement that the prosecutor would be prohibited from making them under subsection G of this rule. So this refers to stopping other people from doing something that you can't do yourself. Okay, you see where I'm going with this? Part G says prosecutors, except for statements that are necessary to inform the public of the nature and extent of a prosecutor's actions and that serve a legitimate law enforcement purpose, prosecutors shall refrain from making extrajudicial comments. That means outside of the courtroom. Extrajudicial comments that have a substantial likelihood of heightening public condemnation of the accused. Public condemnation of the accused. So ask yourselves, when you're talking about someone not having any redeeming qualities and having the resources of hell, and you're out there on the front steps of the church and you're having these third-party clergy say that you were essentially brought by divine providence to do the work of God Almighty himself. And you're doing it, by the way, in the heart of the jury pool. This is in Fulton County, Georgia. This is where the jurors in the case are going to come from. Are you doing anything to taint the jury pool, Madam District Attorney? And so when you cloak yourself or allow others to cloak you in the the clothing of divine providence, and then you take the steps and you thank them and all this for their support after they didn't say Donald Trump's name, but clearly they were talking about that fella coming from Florida and all this. They were clearly making reference to Donald Trump and talking about him in the most unflattering terms. So is that the kind of thing that Judge McAfee was concerned about, to the point that he thought maybe Fani Willis would need to have a gag order? I think the answer has to be yes, because prosecutors simply cannot slime the defendant in public. And according to this rule, subpart E here, they shall exercise reasonable care to prevent persons, other people from doing it. So she basically, she may not have made that statement, but she absolutely adopted that statement, in my opinion. And so it's just the same as her saying it herself. So the question I've got, and I want you guys to weigh in, by the way, there's 725 people in here, by the way, weigh in the comments. If you're in here live, put it in the live chat. We'll replay the live chat. If you're watching later on replay, let us know, let me know, because I want to know what you think. Was this, or was it not, another form of prosecutorial misconduct? And this type of prosecutorial misconduct, guys, is called forensic misconduct. It's worth noting that the district attorney, Madam District Attorney, is having this press conference on the steps of Big Bethel Church, a mere 7 days from what I believe the deadline to be for the Georgia Court of Appeals to weigh in on whether or not to accept the interlocutory pretrial appeal brought by the various defendants challenging her as being disqualified from the case. According to Steve Sadow, President Trump's lawyer, he tells me that by his count, we're looking at about a week from today, the 13th, should be about 45 days. So I predicted it was going to be last week. It wasn't. I'm going to double down. I'm going to predict it's going to be this week. I don't think we're going to have to wait until Monday. I think we're going to get it by this Friday. So let's see if I'm right about that. We're going to find out one way or another very soon if the Georgia Court of Appeals is going to agree to hear the appeal. And if they do hear the appeal, they watch the news too. If they agree to hear the appeal, and we're going to have oral arguments on it later this summer, you got to ask yourself, okay, I'm the judge. Do I remember seeing this press conference where, despite Judge McAfee's warning, this woman is doing it again? She's at it again. I think this has got to absolutely weigh in favor of not only hearing the appeal, but in favor of disqualification. Anyway, we got 826 people in here. Do me a favor, hit like. And if you're not a subscriber, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. We are closing in. We may have crossed 27,000 subscribers. So we're shooting for the next goal of 30,000 subscribers. Let's see what's going on in the chat over here. We've got, all right. It's moving so fast, I can't catch it, but I saw this one. Mark says she's got blood on her hands for those who have died awaiting trial. Now, what he is, I think, referring to is the severe backup at the Fulton County Jail, where people literally are dying in jail at a record pace. I've done videos and live streams on this. Check out some of my earlier Fulton Follies kind of videos, and you'll see exactly what Mark is talking about. Bill says, no doubt it's misconduct. For that reason, among others, the case against Trump will never survive. Well, that really is the question, isn't it? I mean, will the case against Trump survive? And if so, who's going to be the prosecutor? Bill, I do agree. I think it's misconduct. I think it's in light of Judge McAfee's warning, it's pretty damn egregious, in my opinion. If she gets removed from the case, if Willis gets removed from the case, I've said this before, I don't think there's going to be any other prosecutor that's going to either be able to or willing to pick it up. So I think it would be de facto. As a matter of fact, it would be dead, regardless of whether or not the indictment is officially dismissed. Thank you for mentioning the show yesterday regarding it was a video. It was an interview that I did of Amanda Tempson. I recorded it some time ago for a different purpose. I repurposed it here, put it out here on this channel for you guys to see the whistleblower. So check it out. It was just yesterday. Whistleblower who says that Fani Willis's office misused federal grant money. And when she called her out on it, she basically had her perp walked outside at gunpoint, not at gunpoint, but by armed law enforcement officers And so it's really, really worth, I won't tell you everything, but it's a great interview with Amanda Tempson, whistleblower. I think she's also talking to the Congress, and that's where a lot of this federal subpoena business is coming in. By the way, before I share this, I'm going to try to find for you something that I posted earlier today on X. So I'm going to learn from my mistake before. I'm actually going to pull this up and get to it before I share this screen with you, because here's what we have. All right. Now I think I've got it. We're talking about Fani Willis and talking about subpoenas. All right, let's present this, share screen. Here we go. All right, I think everybody can see that. I think I've done that right. So let's see if we can play it.
Sorry, folks get pissed off.
You appear before a Georgia Senate committee without a subpoena?
Well, first of all, I don't even think they have the authority to subpoena me, but they need to learn the law.
So will you appear, yes or no?
I will not appear to anything that is unlawful, and I have not broken the law in any way. I said it, I'll say it amongst these leaders. I'm sorry, folks get pissed off that everybody gets treated evenly.
All right. I think she answered that very well.
All right, so hopefully you could hear that. Could you hear it? She says she's not going to participate in anything that's unlawful. She says that she's not done anything wrong, and she's just not going to have anything to do with it.
You appear before a Georgia Senate committee without a subpoena?
Well, first of all, I don't even think they have the authority to subpoena me, but they need to learn the law.
So will you appear, yes or no?
I will not appear to anything that is unlawful, and I have not broken the law in any way. I said it, I'll say it amongst these leaders. I'm sorry, folks get pissed off that everybody gets treated evenly.
All right. Well, so she says she gets pissed off, or she says she's sorry if people get pissed off because people get treated, equally. Well, look, she's claiming that a committee constituted by the Senate of the state of Georgia that has subpoena power, just like she does through her grand juries. She's saying she's not going to show up. I don't think she's been subpoenaed to my knowledge, but if they subpoena her, she damn well better go. If not, she better get her a good lawyer herself, because she's going to need one, because you could be thrown in jail for not showing up. And when she gets there, by the way, she's going to have to testify under oath. So it's just, the messaging out of this woman today is just insane. It's absolutely insane. We're about 2 weeks away from the election, the Democrat primary, and she's got an opponent, and he's somebody who's supported by the music industry, and the music industry is pissed off because of what she's doing, prosecuting Atlanta rapper Young Thug in this multi-year racketeering case, apparently, that's going to take till maybe 2027. And by the way, which she's using rap lyrics against him as proof, she says, of evidence of a crime. So she's got lots of different competing constituencies here. I guess she's willing to risk the wrath, if he has it in his body. She's willing to risk the wrath of Judge McAfee, and perhaps the Court of Appeals, to go on the steps of the church to say these things today in such an arrogant way. Just my opinion. I welcome yours. Now, listen, there's 875 people in here now watching. If you haven't already done it, hit the like button for me and subscribe if you haven't subscribed. I'm trying to close in on 30,000 subscribers. Now, and I promise this was not intentional. It was not a setup. But it just so happened at the very beginning of this particular live stream, you witnessed firsthand my inability to do things with videos. I'm not tech savvy, and I'm not a good editor. Now, up at the top of your screen, you see my logo was just replaced by this See, I switched from that to that. Point your camera at that. I am savvy enough to show you this one. Point your camera at that and see where the website takes you. It's a fundraiser. I'm trying to raise money to pay somebody, basically a production assistant, to help with production, post-production, editing, and things of that nature. So hopefully this kind of thing won't happen again. And I just want to tell you ahead of time, some of you have already supported us through that particular fundraiser. I really appreciate it. I appreciate all the support in every possible way. You can find the link to it. If you don't want to use that QR code, you can find the link to it in the notes to this particular video. So that will go towards helping the channel grow, but specifically, I'm going to have to bring somebody on board to help with the production and editing of videos and things of that type, because we don't want this kind of thing to ever happen again. And I'm going to figure out what went wrong. I'm going to post that press conference to my channel one way or the other. I promise you. All right. So anyway, the chat room is hopping. I see we have some people here who, let's just see. So we've got an LOL from the QR code. All right, I see. All right, we've got Chat Boss Megan puts a link there for us. Thank you, Chat Boss Megan, who, by the way, I think is doing a very good job. I'm trying to, you guys are scrolling so fast. I'm trying to get, there was some really, really good comments, but the gist of what I see here is that people are seeing that, here it is. She's thumbing her nose, not only at Scott McAfee, she's thumbing her nose at the legal system. She's basically saying that I get to do things my way. I don't have to comply with subpoenas from the state Senate, but you, by God, have to comply with my grand jury subpoenas. And then, by the way, if you say anything that I think, in my opinion, if I think your opinion about how the state runs its elections or other thing, if I disagree with it, that's a crime. I'm going to criminalize your First Amendment right, and you better not criticize me. That's just sort of what I get from her. That's just the general sense of, I don't know, arrogance, whatever you call it. But whatever's coming across, she's not coming across like a professional, polished, even-handed, objective prosecutor who's objectively seeking justice and the truth of any particular matter. All right, so there was another thing today. I don't know if you saw it, but Nathan Wade has come out today, and he has given an interview to ABC News. Now, I don't have any video of that, but I do have some thoughts about it, and I want to know if you have any thoughts about it, because let's see here. I'm going to share this with you. Get rid of that comment. Sorry about that. Let's present this. So here you have Nathan Wade. He speaks out on what he calls a workplace romance, even though it took place all over town and I guess all over the world, well outside the workplace. It took place on this cruise ship, that cruise ship, possibly some cabins in Tennessee, perhaps a condo in Hapeville, and God only knows where else the workplace romance extended to. But he calls it American as apple pie. And he asserted that he didn't think news of this relationship has done any damage to the case, even as it threatens her to get removed from the case. Now, that's what he says that's what he says to, what was that? NBC or ABC? ABC News. Yeah. He speaks out as a workplace romance with Fulton FA. It says, as American as apple pie. And right here, we're on the verge of the Court of Appeals trying to decide if if the case should be tossed out for, partly because of what he's done, and he doesn't think it's damaged the case. It's just incredible. It's just absolutely incredible. I mean, no, look, it's not adultery because you heard his testimony. In his mind, his marriage ended years before all this, and that's all that matters. Remember that. All right. I'm not saying anything about anybody's intellect, but I can certainly say that it's arrogant, and it was certainly not a wise thing for her to do today. And it certainly wasn't a wise for him to go on national television and say that he didn't think it hurts the case. Again, we're talking about within a week's time, the Court of Appeals in Georgia is going to decide whether to take up this case and possibly boot her off of it because of him and because of what she did with him and to him and all sorts of these things. All right, let me stop before I go too far on that. And it was mostly softball. It was really not a hard hitting interview. That much is for sure. Yeah, I mean, he said, if I remember, y'all can correct me if I'm wrong in the chat and otherwise tell me. As I recall it, he said something to the effect that, it was his marriage ended years ago. I mean, and even though it was all in the questioning about why, what happened in his divorce. Look, if you have an active divorce case, then you're not divorced yet. And if you're not divorced yet, you're still married. But he rationalized it according to my memory of the testimony, because in his mind, it had been over for some time. Yep. Hit that like button for me, folks. Help me out. All right. Anyway, that being said, I want to, again, I'm sorry for the mix up with that video. I don't know what happened. I'm sorry you could not hear all of the press conference, but we will make it work. We're going to have some other stuff I'm trying together right now to put together some ideas. Rachel Kaufman and I have been talking about some ideas that we want to have to bring you. We're going to be doing some updates on the Young Thug trial. We're going to be talking more about Fani Willis, and I am watching my phone like a hawk for word that the Court of Appeals in Georgia has taken up this appeal or has declined to take it up. And I promise you, I will do something on this channel just as soon as I can get in front of a camera to talk about it. And we will go through the Court of Appeals opinion, whatever it says, whether it says they'll take the case, whether it says they won't take the case. I'll get some help and I'll figure out how to put it on the screen, and we'll go through it word by word if we have to, so that we understand what it means. All right. Jack says, let's get Phil 1 million subscribers before the end of 2024. Jack, if you do that, I'll dance at your wedding, buddy. I promise. All right. That would be amazing. And I see, again, thank you, Senior Chief and Megan, for gifting the memberships. This is the kind of support that will help me make sure that things like tech glitches like we saw tonight don't happen anymore. I promise. All right. That being said, folks, that's what I've got for you tonight. And on the way out, before you go, don't forget, this is Fani Willis's star witness against rapper Young Thug.
Man, can I get a water or something? I'm so high right now, y'all. I'm about to go to sleep on y'all ass. I ain't gonna tell you no lie.
Yes, you may. We're gonna take a break. Hang in there.
Good night, everybody. We'll see you next time right back here inside the law.